Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us today for the conversation on veteran suicide prevention. My name is Cherie Pham. I'm the co-founder and vice president of programs and initiatives at America's Warrior Partnership. We are currently overseeing Operation Deep Dive, a community-based veteran suicide and non-natural cause of death prevention study. It is led by our team at America's Warrior Partnership and researchers from the University of Alabama with the generous support from the Bristol Myers Squibb Foundation. Today, our goal is to share with you the best practices and resources available to support prevention efforts around suicide and non-natural causes of death for those who have served in the military and live in Nevada. I'm pleased to have Gregory Gray from the City of Las Vegas, Office of Community Service, join me today for this conversation. Gregory, please tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Cherie. So military service has been an influence in my life since I was born. I have had great uncles who have served in World War II and the Korean War. My great uncle was a lieutenant colonel, and he retired from the Air Force for 23 years. I myself am a military kid. My dad served in the Air Force for 8 years and served in 2 tours. And my aunt served in the Marine Corps for 23 years as well. I was born in Lakenheath, UK, where my dad was stationed in 1984, and I'm the second oldest of 5 boys. And one of my younger brothers served in the Navy.
Great, thank you. Good story. And born in the UK, that's amazing. I spent a lot of time over there. Great country. So I can't tell you how excited I am to have you with us today and for you to share the great work that you're doing, specifically in Las Vegas, and how we can work together as communities to develop an upstream approach to suicide and premature death among veterans. As we discuss Operation Deep Dive and local suicide prevention resources, I encourage our viewers to type out any questions in the comments section. We will answer as many as we can live, and any others we can't get to will be addressed directly after the session. Gregory, can you share with our viewers what the veteran population looks like in Las Vegas, Nevada?
Absolutely. So between 2015 and 2019, the census estimated the Las Vegas veteran population at about 42,000 veterans. Also in 2012, the census reported there are over 5,000 veteran-owned businesses in the state of Nevada. As of 2019, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention reported suicide as the 8th leading cause of death in Nevada. And it was reported in 2017 by the VA that there were over 100 veteran suicides, which was significantly higher than the national veteran suicide rate in the nation.
Let me pause you there. How many again? Can you tell me that statistic again?
Yeah, in Nevada, it was reported by the VA in 2017 that there were over 100 veteran suicides, which was reported to be significantly higher than the national veteran suicide rate.
Wow, that's a lot. And that's a staggering statistic that you just shared with our viewers today. So can you share how is the City of Las Vegas Veteran Service Initiative and your office collaborating with statewide efforts to improve the quality of life for veterans in that area?
It is something that was recognized as a concern for our city as well as our state by our mayor and council. And they were the ones that ratified the Veteran Services Initiative resolution in March 2019. So since then, we have established the Mayor's Challenge team to help combat veterans suicide and veterans in crisis. We are in part, and there have been a number of programs that have come out of the initiative and a lot of efforts that have taken place. We are currently partnering with our Parks and Rec program to do adaptive sports recreation that encourages veterans with and without disabilities to connect and engage with their fellow veterans and recreation-based activities and events. We are also taking the opportunity to extend lunch and learns to our veterans to provide workshops to help them find employment and other avenues to help them better navigate civilian transition into life and workforce. We are currently getting ready to meet with the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration at the end of this month with our Mayor's Challenge team to do a SWOT analysis to determine our strengths, our weaknesses, and opportunities that we can to better strategize and implement better practices to better serve our veterans facing crisis. We are also gearing up for our Veteran Voices virtual meeting on the 26th to connect with our local veterans to see how the city can better connect and serve our veterans in our communities. We're getting ready for an art and resource fair in September to support mental health and self-care through the arts. And we're also gearing up for our Veteran Career Expo in November to help veterans prepare for and find employment in the workforce.
That's great. That's thinking outside the box, right? It's a holistic lens, opening up the different avenues where we may be able to touch or get to know and outreach to our veterans where we wouldn't normally, maybe with our service providers and everything, we wouldn't maybe normally come in contact with. But I love how you're expressing how Las Vegas and Nevada is opening up those different outlets for veterans to be engaged in and adhering to their interest, right? It's about what they're interested in and improving that quality of life. I want to pause for a second because I want to share with our viewers something that you and I talked about yesterday when we were preparing for this call. And this is something that is quite unique to anything that we've done in previous sessions. And that is, I would like for you to share with our viewers what your background is in from what your vocation, what'd you go to school for, Gregory?
Yes, so I have a degree in graphic design. And I have to say that I think that one of the life lessons that we learn as adults is that you don't always get what you want, you get what you need out of life. And I think that, I had my dreams. I was set. I was like, yes, I'm going to be a graphic designer. I'm going to work for this great graphics company. I'm going to have this mind-blowing career in graphic design. And the recession happened in 2008, and the demand and the career path had changed. And I ended up in local government doing working in Parks and Rec, and then I ended up doing human services through the city, as well as working at the Boys and Girls Club. So I think that my career path has definitely deviated from graphic design and into this new realm of helping people, especially our veterans. So it's an honor to be able to do this work and be passionate about it. I love the job that I do.
Yeah, that's great. And what I love about this is, often in Facebook's lives, I've talked about how the community can help shoulder the mental health community around veteran suicide and harmful behaviors. And that it's not just the mental health professionals or those in the human service industry that we need to be helping to feel comfortable about reaching out or acknowledging that someone has changed, but that it's people just like yourself, like graphic design or, I don't know, a lawyer, a doctor, someone that doesn't typically. And so I just want to share with our viewers, say it's possible. We can outside of our social service and our human service arena, we can work together to make other members of our community with different backgrounds feel comfortable in this subject. I digress. I just thought that was very important to share. As our regular viewers know, every community is unique and distinct, depending on the county where they are located or the state, municipality. You've heard Gregory talk a little bit about the demographics that are occurring around veteran suicide in Las Vegas, Nevada. Because of this, the challenges impacting veterans in one state may be vastly different from another. And our goal with Operation Deep Dive is to understand these challenges and, more importantly, address how community leaders can resolve them. Gregory, you've talked a little bit about like the different opportunities that you can engage veterans, but with that in mind, and maybe go a little deeper around the collaborative, around the governor's challenge or mayor's challenge that you discussed earlier. With that in mind, could you tell us more about what is happening with Operation Deep Dive in Nevada?
Absolutely. So yeah, Operation Deep Dive consists of two components. One of those components is gathering state data from 2014 to 2018 to verify those who were former service members, and the DoD helps us do that. One of the barriers that we face here in Nevada is that we are unable to obtain the Social Security numbers, which is essential to the verification process. A second component to that is also conducting interviews with the relatives, loved ones, friends, or colleagues of veterans who have died from suicide or non-natural cause of death. And that data collected will be analyzed to create more effective and impactful programs for our veterans.
So how can our viewers in Nevada get involved with Operation Deep Dive and become a part of the larger team that's focused on ending veteran suicide?
We definitely encourage those who have lost a veteran, a loved one to suicide or non-natural cause of death within the last 24 months. We definitely encourage those individuals to participate in an interview. We want to understand their story and how they were engaged with the community prior to their death, and to show that we care and that we want to know what's going on. For those who are not eligible for an interview, we definitely ask that you share this information about Operation Deep Dive with personal network contacts and on your social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's very important that we get the word out. And there's a wide range of programs and services available to our veterans to help them overcome a challenge. And if you are a veteran facing crisis, we encourage you to call the Veterans Crisis Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Press 1 and get in touch with someone, or text 838-255.
And as you and I discussed before, the Veterans Crisis Hotline not only is a value for an individual who is in crisis, but also for family members, friends, and us in the industry that are working with veterans. They can contact the crisis line as well to find out how to support the veteran that's in crisis.
Absolutely.
You've talked about the collaborative with the Mayor's Challenge, and you're building the partners. How
Absolutely.
are you getting that information out to individuals? How are we leveraging the resources that you have in that community to get into the hands of the veterans, so that we're not waiting for them to be in crisis to access our resources and our partners, but that we're able to get upstream? What does that look like with your partners and resources?
I mentioned in one statistics that there are over 5,000 veteran organizations, and I know that from professional experience as well as the vocal output from some of our local veterans is that a lot of our veterans have trouble connecting to services, and we are asking that not everybody knows about this, and that there are many methods to connect. And we are asking that for veterans, local veterans, and our veterans organizations to come together to be able to get this information out to our local veterans and get them the help that they need. And that's one of the reasons why we're doing our Veteran Voices, is not only to hear from our veterans, their families, their spouses, but also from veteran-led organizations, because everything is a case-by-case basis when it comes to us here in the city of Las Vegas, and especially when it comes to helping our veterans. And the knowledge is power. The more that we know about what's available to our veterans, the better we are able to connect them.
Yeah, absolutely. And every little bit helps, right? So even if an individual or an organization feels that you're small, to your point, it's all the voices collectively is connect and reach out to our veterans, our family members, and our caregivers in our networks who could benefit from this information, and resources that are available. I just want to clarify a couple of things. We use the term warrior, veteran, former service member interchangeably. in the context of this study. To ensure it's clear who is eligible to participate in an interview, I want to go over the eligibility criteria. If you have a friend or loved one who was sworn into the service for one day, they qualify as a former service member for the purposes of our study. It does not matter which branch they served in or whether they completed a combat deployment. The goal of these interviews is to understand how a deceased veteran, former service member, was engaged within our community and how the community can better support these veterans in the future. You must be 18 years or older. You must have a relative, loved one, friend, or coworker who was a former service member and died by suicide or a non-natural cause of death within the last 24 months. The deceased veteran could have served as little as one day and received any type of discharge. If you're eligible and would like to participate or know someone who may want to participate, please visit americaswarriorpartnership.org/deep-dive to contact our research team. As you heard Gregory mention earlier, we are unable to obtain state data around the deaths of our former service members for Nevada. That's why it's very, very critical that we can learn from family members and friends who have lost loved ones to veterans and suicide to contact us so that we can interview you about the last year of their life, and be able to obtain information of maybe where we as a community can touch an individual prior to hopelessness. Well, that's all the time we have for today. If we were not able to answer your questions, or you have one at a later date, please contact our research team at americaswarriorpartnership.org/deep-dive. Thank you all for joining the discussion. Stay tuned to America's Warrior Partnership Facebook page for information on future Operation Deep Dive discussions and updates. And as always, thank you for being with us today. And we appreciate all the work that everyone is doing to get upstream to veteran suicide. Bye-bye.